welcome everyone. Welcome to our third Power Hour, brought to you by the Office of Gift Planning. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Susan Damiani. I am the Director of Gift Planning. I'm also the Director of the McAllen Society, which is St. John's Legacy Society. And during the course of the year, I plan a lot of different events for the McAllen as well as our Lachlan, our annual giving society. I know we invited the Retirees Association members, so if anybody's a retiree from St. John's, we welcome you as well. And because of the pandemic, we still don't wanted to offer the same programming, so we came up with this concept of the Power Hour. And I'm hoping the Power Hour is just, an hour where we can re-energize you, but it's just a great way to stay connected to St. John's. And I really look forward to it. It makes my day every week, just to know that I'm connecting with a lot of the members and friends and colleagues. Caroline is my physical therapist. She's also become a good friend of mine. And so I thank her for joining us today. But I just think I'm hoping that you walk away learning something and just feeling good, and a great way just to escape from all the news and everything that's going on in our lives. So we kind of start off with sort of a conversation. And Caroline, I just want to first ask, how are you doing? I know we were talking about this week, you're going to be reopening your practice. So how is that going?
Yes, so we reopened on the 27th. There are patients that have signed on, and we're having them come in and kind of spaced out just because of the social distancing. So it's going to be a completely different experience for the patients and for us. Because you've seen the office. It's like everybody knows everybody, and
yes,
it's going to be different.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, everybody has to think outside the box and try to think of different things. Caroline is a certified physical therapist for 35 years. She's a healer. My description for her is she's the human whisperer. And how I found out about Caroline was through a close friend, because I had, when I went to the foot doctor, he diagnosed me as having plantar fasciitis. As I interviewed people, not intentionally, but asking people, have you ever had this? Or, so I really didn't know what was going on with my foot. I realized the entire world, it seems, has plantar fasciitis or knows of someone who has plantar fasciitis. And my foot doctor said that it could, not to worry, I'm only going to have this for 2 weeks and I was going to be better. Well, a year and a half later, and it going into the other foot, and then I noticed my back, and suddenly I've had all of this, all these different things happening to me. I was like, am I really getting old? What's going on? So luckily, in speaking to a friend, she told me about Caroline. And what I really liked about Caroline, even through the phone, she looked at my situation very differently than the way the foot doctor was looking at it, and where a regular physical therapist, I would say generalist, maybe, is that a way of calling it? Your approach is a holistic one, which is looking at my entire body, right? And immediately when I went to Caroline, she immediately was like, this is coming from your back. And when she said that, just even in my mind and everything started to change, because I was looking at my condition so differently. And she's made a world of difference, for me. I know that we were talking at the test run that she has some people that fly from, what were you saying, Bulgaria and from Singapore. Someone actually flies, what is it, every weekend they come in and they bring a child who's autistic. Yeah. Explain, because I just think it's so interesting. I think it would be interesting for the audience of, someone who's autistic going to a physical therapist doesn't make any sense to me.
Right. So typically in situations such as autism, we don't use physical therapy techniques. I use craniosacral therapy, and visceral work on patients such as these, because it's really a whole fluid system alignment that is required. So that's why they come in. And when they come in every 6 months, but they come in for 4 weekends. So they come here. I live in Glen Cove. They come to my home because on Saturday evening, they do a 3-hour session. They check into the Glen Cove mansion. They come in again on Sunday morning, 3 hours, go back to the hotel for lunch, come back again in the afternoon for 3 hours. So they do 9 hours, and they do that over 4 successive weekends every 6 months. So it was very interesting that the second weekend of the first time this boy was with me, he has different issues other than autism. He has a squint and he had a very, very misshapen head. So the second weekend of him being with me, there was a complete reconfiguration of his skull. So a skull that was literally bumpy, you could see the bumps on his head, became a perfect ball.
Wow.
Smooth all through. There was no, I mean, if you measured it, you could get perfect dimensions on all levels. So that really encouraged the parents to keep coming, and they've been coming now for a while regularly. They do go to speech therapy. There's a center in Jersey that does speech therapy, especially for autistic kids. So there are different approaches, but this is one of the approaches that these parents have chosen to follow.
Wow, that's amazing. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started because I'm sure everyone wants to hear all about what you are going to say today that's going to help us get through our quarantine. So let me just read very quickly, and it's very impressive background. Like I said, Caroline is a physical therapist, highly trained healer with more than 30 years of clinical experiences in various osteopathic and physical therapeutic techniques. She has a vast set of contemporary tools for treating clients of all ages and conditions who come to her, some from different parts of the world, as we've mentioned. She treats pain and other debilitating conditions with craniosacral therapy, lymph drainage therapy, visceral manipulation, and manipulation. She incorporates Mackenzie, am I saying that right? Mackenzie taping and Mulligan's manipulation, laser and ultrasonic therapies, and other physical therapy modalities as well. She also uses reconnective healing, healing from the core, and somato-emotional release as assistive methods to establish physical and emotional harmony. In pediatric care, neurodevelopmental therapy and craniosacral techniques are preferred choices. Caroline has been approved by the New York State Department of Health as a provider for the early intervention program in pediatrics. She has authored analysis of the posture of cerebral palsy child and physiotherapy in prenatal and postnatal conditions. She is a teaching assistant with the Upledger and Barrel Institutes in their craniosacral lymph drainage and visceral manipulation programs. And she is the member of the American Physical Therapy Association and the New York chapter, a life member of the Indian Association of Physiotherapy, the International Yoga Foundation, and the International Alliance of Healthcare Practitioners. And I can say she has used some of these methods on me, and it is really, really amazing. So I welcome and thank you again, Caroline, for joining us this afternoon, and I'm going to turn the computer screen over to you. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. It's good to be here. And just given the present situation that we are in, where healthcare and looking after ourselves is primarily the need of the hour, I thought looking at how we take care of ourselves from an overall perspective would make sense and fit in. I'd like to start with the story of a man. There is this man, he is dying in his bed at home, and he smells coming from the kitchen the aroma of his favorite chocolate chip cookies. With his last strength, he gets out of bed and goes to the kitchen where his wife of 50 years is cooking these beautiful chocolate chip cookies, and there on a plate are 4 of them just out of the oven. With his last human strength, he reaches over to take one of the cookies. His wife sees him, she reaches over, she slaps his hand and she says, "No, they are for the funeral." So don't wait till you are dying to think about living. Live your life, but make the choice of living healthy. Living a healthy lifestyle can keep you living life to the fullest and away from prescription medications. The Journal of American Medical Association says that people are 5 times more likely to die from prescription medications than drug abuse that occurs from overdose and heroin combined. It makes you wonder who the real drug dealers are. There are some exceptional doctors out there that are not drug pushers. But what I would like to tell you is that you must take responsibility for your own health. Choosing not to think about your health is costing you everything, whether you know it or not. It will not affect you now, but it will surely catch up with you later. So what if it happened that people never needed to be healed because they never got sick? Let this question call you to look at your life, your health, and your future differently. What would the healthiest version of yourself be like? This would mean that you would be spared from heart disease, cancer, constipation, muscle weakness, blurred vision, irritability, memory problems, and insomnia, just to name a few. Our body does not suffer the onslaughts of disease and pain if it is free from an inflammatory internal mapping. An inflammatory internal mapping implies that the cells and the internal milieu that they reside in are free from acid chain reactions, or in other words, the internal environment is alkaline. This alkalinity will let you have it all. So the question therefore is, how would you get there? How would you fight the epidemic of unhealthy living that has now become part of our lives? The answer is a combination and interplay of the effects of mindset, exercise, diet and hydration, laughter and sleep. So let me proceed to explain. We have a neuroplastic brain. Neuroplasticity is the change in neural pathways and connections that occur in the brain due to certain factors like behavior, environment, or neural processes. During such changes, the brain engages in synaptic pruning, deleting the neural connections that are no longer necessary or useful, and strengthening the necessary ones. Thus, the brain is not fixed and unchangeable. It can create new pathways to adapt to its needs. It's about training up new brain circuitry. This has led to an explosion of interest in the power of brain training. NLP or neuro-linguistic programming being one of them. Here, the goal is to improve our focus, the memory attention, decrease your pain, increase exercise performance. But you must do the work. And you must put, and you must put your heart and soul into it. It doesn't even need you to believe this. You just have to be willing to do the work, and the change you're looking for comes about. And don't be discouraged when you seem confused or like you're not getting there. The brain is reorganizing, and that's a really important stage towards having that aha moment. So let's start off with a few ideas that would be valuable in getting the brain started to make you who you want to be. You could do a reset on your mindset, your approach to exercise, your diet and hydration, laughter and sleep. You can actually go up there and build the brain you want. So let's start with mindset. A mindset of willingness, caring, and kindness for yourself will help you make every right choice. You will even avoid cravings and addictions. There is an acceptance and commitment therapy approach, or the ACT approach in psychotherapy, that actually allows willingness to be part of the treatment protocol to cure cravings. It teaches you not to engage in the cravings monsters tug of war, but rather to just drop the rope. These teachings are based on the principle of willingness, caring, and kindness to oneself. So now look at exercising. Has it happened to you that you have hurt your back, but you don't know how? Or that you've been walking down the street, minding your own business, and your knee just gives out on you, and you say to your knee, hey, what happened? We know how to do this. But your knee just glares back. When this happens to you, know that your body is craving exercise. Optimal exercise will change the trajectory of your life for the better. Not only does it strengthen your heart and lung muscle, but it increases your energy, puts you in a better mood, improves your memory and attention, improves your reaction time, and has a protective effect on your brain. In other words, exercise is the most transformative thing that you can do for your body and brain. Weight-bearing aerobic exercises help decrease the risk of osteoporosis while muscle endurance increases. A single aerobic workout that gets your heart rate up lasts for 30 minutes and is repeated 3 to 4 times a week will, according to the Mayo Clinic, reduce the risk of many conditions, including obesity, heart disease and high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes and other metabolic syndromes, stroke, and certain types of cancer. In the brain, it increases the levels of neurotransmitters such as serotonin, noradrenaline, and dopamine that will enhance your mood. It will allow you to shift and focus attention that will last for at least 2 hours, and that will increase your reaction time. Your brain functions will improve because exercise actually produces new brain cells in the hippocampus and the prefrontal cortex that actually increase their volume and improves your long-term memory and attention function. This is of great importance because these parts of the brain are most susceptible to neurodegenerative disease and normal cognitive decline with aging. I truly believe that the habit of exercising should be considered as a supercharged 401k for your body and brain. Regular exercise will decrease your waist to hip ratio, and studies have actually found that those with a higher waist to hip ratio saw the distance in a race to the finish line as further away than their fitter counterparts. So, to bring the finish line closer, Simply exercise. And best of all, exercise is free. A mindfully chosen diet is alkaline. The foods you're supposed to eat on an alkaline diet are good for you and will support a healthy weight and keep inflammation and pain at a minimum. Eat lots of fruits, nuts, and vegetables, and drink lots of water. Optimal hydration is achieved when your water intake equals a third of your body weight in ounces. Avoid sugar, alcohol, and processed foods. As to the other health claims, there is some early evidence that a diet low in acid-producing foods like animal protein, cheese and bread, and high in fruits, nuts, and vegetables could help prevent kidney stones, keep bones and muscles strong, improve heart health and brain function, reduce low back pain, and lower the risk for type 2 diabetes. Some studies have found that an alkaline environment may make certain chemotherapy drugs effective and less toxic. But it has not shown that an alkaline diet can help prevent cancer. So if you have cancer, talk to your doctor or your dietitian about your nutritional needs before starting any type of diet. Healthy microbes reside in your gut, and these are essential to healthy life. This is where prebiotics and probiotics come in. The former, prebiotics, are substances such as the fiber inulin on which useful microbes can thrive, while the latter are the microbes themselves that are thought to be beneficial for health, such as the lactobacillus or the bifidobacterium species. Sleep. This is as essential to human life as air and water. We can survive a few weeks without sleep, but will never really be normal. It is fair to say that our current appreciation of sleep deprivation causing health problems is where smoking and lung cancer was about 45 years ago. A fact that exists is that it is your own genetic makeup that determines how much sleep your body needs. Typically, this range goes anywhere from 5 to 8 hours per night. Insufficient sleep triggers excess production of the hunger hormone ghrelin that causes glucose metabolism to decrease. It also causes an increase in acidity, or what we are so familiar with called acid reflux. Sleeping less hours than what your body orders is associated with adverse health outcomes like obesity and weight gain, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease and stroke, depression, impaired immune function, increased pain, impaired performance with an increase in accidents and errors because of psychomotor vigilance lapses, also known as nodding off, and shortened lifespans. A study on middle-aged men at Washington State University found that those that had less than their genetically determined sleep volume had a 2.8 times the odds of death within their next 6 years. Keep digital devices away from you at bedtime. Their use increases brain activity and inhibits secretion of sleep-promoting hormones. A good night's sleep is the best way to prepare you to keep you at your best for tomorrow, and is actually critical for your physical and mental well-being. One wonders about laughter and the role it plays in our lives. Studies have shown that 10 minutes of laughter equals 2 hours of pain-free sleep. Your arterial diameter increases so that your blood pressure decreases. Laughter increases blood flow to your face so you can recharge and you look younger. It's a good exercise for your visceral organs. It is a good breathing exercise. Laughter increases endorphins and decreases cortisol, thus improving your mood and decreasing pain. So, to hone in on this, I'd like to end with the story of the woman who turned 100 years old and was interviewed by Jay Leno. He asked her about her trip to Universal Studios the day before, and she confirmed it. You know, she said, the wind was terrible. I had a skirt on and the wind was blowing it up just like that, but I was hanging on to my hat. And a kid came up to me and said, lady, you better stop hanging on to your hat and put your wrist down there. You're showing everything you got. To which she said, I don't care. What you see down there is 100 years old. This is a brand new hat. So put on a new hat. Leave what's old behind and start living again the way you were meant to live. Centered, because the whole of you matters. Finally, I'd like to end with a motivational video that should help you take home a lesson on improving your health. Let me state that the facts in the video are not biologically accurate. The video merely serves as an anecdotal to the question, why should one choose change? And the answer to this is, change is not just to survive, but to thrive. So let me do a screen share for this. So bear with me.
This is a story of an eagle. An eagle has the longest lifespan of its species. It can live up to 70 years. But to reach this age, however, the eagle must make some tough decisions. This is a story of an eagle. An eagle has the longest lifespan of its species. It can live up to 70 years. But to reach this age, however, the eagle must make some tough decisions. In its 40th year, its long, flexible talons can no longer grab prey, which serve as food. Its long, sharp beak begins to bend. Its old, aged, and heavy wings, due to their thick feathers, stick to their chest and make it difficult to fly. Then the eagle is left with only two options: die or go through the painful process of change. process requires that the eagle fly to the mountaintop and sit on its nest. There, it knocks its beak against a rock until it plucks it out. Then the eagle will wait for a new beak to grow before it plucks out the talons. When the new talons grow back, the eagle starts plucking its thick, heavy feathers. And after this, the eagle takes its famous flight of rebirth and lives for another 30 years. Why is the change needed? To survive and live. We too have to start the change process. We also have to pluck our unpleasant memories, negative habits, and fixed mindset. Only freed from the past burdens can we take advantage of the present. Let's soar again.
So I'd like to just remind you that we have a neuroplastic brain. You simply have to do the work and the change happens. You can build the brain and the body you want. Keep up best practices, mindset, exercise, diet and hydration, laughter and sleep. And on that note, I hand over to Susan again. Thank you, Susan.
Thank you, Caroline. A lot for us to think about. Today, I'm chuckling a little bit because, we scheduled your talk for today, and today is Cinco de Mayo.
Okay.
So now you're going to make me feel guilty if I have my guacamole, chips, and margarita. So I guess we could always push change for the next day. I don't have to start it today. But we're open to questions and answers. If you see on your screen, there's Q&A, and you can type a question for Caroline. We already have one question by Igor, and he says, how do we ensure we get proper sleep? For example, temperature or light conditions.
So you've got to do your own, it's really unique. Your need for sleep is unique, and it's really being very, very focused on what your uniqueness is. What temperatures work for one will not work for another. So you've got to be focused on that and find your optimal. We don't live alone. All of us live with family, with friends, whatever that situation may be. So find what your optimum is, your temperature, your light conditions, and only you will know. But the awareness of creating that situation where you get the best sleep is important. It's really about bettering your life by being aware. The moment you have an awareness of all the different do's, you won't do the don'ts. It's just like that.
Yeah, and sleep right now, I even see for myself, especially in the beginning, I notice I'm getting a little bit better, but in the beginning, I wasn't getting to sleep till 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. That's never like me. I'm a sleeper. But, subconsciously, I guess with everything that's going on, as soon as I'm ready to fall, thinking I'm going to go to sleep, I just couldn't sleep. And so, like you said, I've been trying to find different ways to make it easier to allow myself to fall asleep early.
And they've also found that doing certain meditations actually that help internalize. There is a very, very popular meditation that's growing in value because it's very clinical. There are little gadgets that can be used. It's called heart-centered meditation. We talked about that.
Right.
Where you actually clip the gadget onto your ear. It's got a little bit of a sensor that you connect with your phone. And if you do one of those at bedtime, you're taking your phone upstairs, no doubt about it, because it's an app on your phone. But the moment you get into this heart-centeredness, which this requires, you will be off in a flash. So it's really about centering, quieting your mind, just being within your space of wholeness, and that's what matters.
Now, he was saying, so maybe you've answered the question now. He said, what do you do if you can't sleep at 11 p.m.?
So you would actually begin to do these exercises at the hour, I would say about half an hour before. So it requires a disciplined approach. So we tend to kind of fall off the track, all of us, because life is the way it is. And once you have an awareness that this is good for me, give yourself that allowance. Okay, I'm going to get started, but don't expect I'll start at 11 and wow, everything's going to happen. No, it doesn't. Remember we talked about neuro-linguistic programming. It's about building up those neuronal pathways. You do it today, but it's not going to last, because if you don't do it tomorrow, it's gone. You need to keep the firing. You need to strengthen the connections. And then if you start at 11 is when you want to fall asleep, start 10:30, do the exercises, and you'll be able to actually go into the mode of wanting to be fast asleep by 11. Give yourself a little grace time.
I just saw something come up on the screen and I did not get that. Do you see it, Caroline? Someone just said that they were having a plant-based diet.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I just saw it flash up on my screen, but I don't see it here. The person who sent that about the plant-based diet, if they could type it in the Q&A, we can answer that question for you. Do you see it? Okay. My chat box is not coming up for some reason.
Based in Jan.
Can you read what she says? No.
Yes. So this is from Patty Hoffman. Thank you for sharing this information. I went plant-based in January for 90 days and have decided that it has changed my life in such a positive way that I am continuing. It has made sleep better, activity level better, and spirituality better. You know, this is it's literally detoxing your body. Patty, that's wonderful to hear.
That's great.
Because it really brings you back to center doing things like this. It's about coming back to who you are by centering. You know, we've gotten into a life that is so distracting from all different, you know, food distracts us, entertainment. I mean, we've got so much going on. So it's about really just clipping away and bringing yourself back to center and making life easier, literally easier on you. Patty, that's great news.
That is great. I wish I could do that. Okay, I have a question here. What was the name of the YouTube video?
Eagle Rebirth. I'll put the link in just now. 1 second. Let me put it in the chat box.
I don't think I want to come back as an eagle. Seems like it's pretty tough.
You know, it's not, like I said, it's not biologically all correct. But you know, it's basically the whole idea of what could work for us. This is to all participants. And okay, so let me and attendees of all participants, all panelists. To whom do I put this to? All attendees?
You can respond in the chat box. You can respond.
The options of who to respond to. So that's the link to the.
We can get it to her afterwards. We could send it to her afterwards.
So I
you have another.
Do you see the link? Do you see the link to all attendees? I put the link, a YouTube link there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
We have another question here. Other than walking, what are exercises that you can recommend during this quarantine in absence of a gym and trainer? That's a great question.
A great question. You know, walking, I say this to all my patients all the time. Walking, although the doctors propagate it as the first choice, is not the first choice. Because should you be a person with plantar fasciitis or low back pain or knee issues, there is something known as open and closed chain exercises that can trigger certain conditions. Walking is an open chain exercises that triggers lower extremity pain. So if you are in pain, your pain will increase if you use walking as a form of exercise. So essentially, you would really choose to do maybe chair exercises where you're sitting down. And I think, given the present day, go to YouTube and just Google, just type in the search box what you want. There are hosts of exercises being offered over there. There are some, like I found Body Groove. It's all about dancing. I love dancing. But I also know that if I'm moving my body all the time, I do throw my knee off because I have an injury on my knee. So I opt to do Body Groove exercises or dancing exercises sitting. But her movements are fantastic. So if dancing is a form of exercise that works for you, you can choose that. If you don't have lower extremity issues, by all means, go ahead, do your walking. Choose indoor exercises using YouTube as your trainer, I would say, because they do the thinking for you, they do the planning for you. You just have to follow and perform.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Someone was just talking also about exercising, running. Is that a good way to release stress?
It's a great way if it does not come back to bite. You got to choose your exercise. It's about your choices for you. These are all possibilities, but is it my choice? Is it good for me? That's an important piece to look at.
Patty just brought up a good point. Thank you, Patty. Our alumni relations office is offering classes. I believe it's Monday and Wednesday. Check our alumni site, but we're offering sculpting. Oh, thank you. And Friday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks, Patty. They're offering the sculpting, and also I think they were offering yoga. All different types of exercises. I think they're trying to work with someone on Zumba. Although I would warn people, Zumba is very good, but after a year, I had to quit because it was starting to aggravate my knees. So I understand what you're saying, all different types of exercises, but you have to see what works with your body. I would say I noticed with the pandemic and being inside, some foods that I haven't eaten in years, all of a sudden I'm eating. And it's not necessarily I'm craving. Like I moved away from cereal. I'm eating cereal now, Cheerios. I'm eating pasta. I haven't eaten pasta in a really long time, once in a while, but now I'm eating it on a more regular basis. Pancakes. I never, I did away with all of that. And I noticed all of a sudden, is that because I'm noticing more carbs? What does that have any correlation with being inside?
Really? We're so used to a routine. The moment we literally get distracted from the routine, it's almost like our blinders come off when we begin to see the sides, what's on the side shelves, if you will. Mm-hmm. And then you get tempted. It's so easy to be tempted. Carbs is like the biggest sin on the planet. It does all that it does, but it does it so subtly and so elusively that you don't know you're being dragged into its snares. So it's to be aware that if you are getting tempted, just make sure that you don't have it in the house, and bring nuts in, bring almonds and bring nuts in, because those are healthy snacks. So it's about keeping the right foods at hand, keeping available what works for you. Because there is no question, carbs are there to tempt. They don't have any other plan on this planet. Is
there any way to cut the sugar habit? I find when you crave sugar, it's really it's like being addicted to cigarettes, to try to cut that sugar. And I can see, the sugar cravings are growing. How do you cut that? Just drinking more water, or?
So basically, to get off of sugar, it's about getting off sugar cold turkey. You cannot have a little.
Yeah, it's hard.
There is no little. Alcohol is another form of sugar, also to remember that. So these are the carb chains.
Cinco de Mayo, Carolyn. Cinco de Mayo today.
So they are the carb chains that actually cause the inflammation in our systems. So, there are now natural sugars available. You can use agave, you can use stevia, you can use those natural sugars that don't have, it's about not allowing sugar to do the damage to you that it does. So you make the choice away from the damaging product to the safe product that works for you, but gives you the satisfaction of sweetness, what you're looking for.
So it's almost like a patch when you have the cigarette. It's almost like that, right?
It's about looking at it from another window. It's there. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Any other questions, additional questions for Carolyn? Still have a little bit of time. I don't know if you see anything in chat.
I see, Jeanette. I also went plant-based and have been able to calm my lupus autoimmune disease. I have more energy than ever, feel stronger, and food is cheaper. Easier life. Thanks for sharing. Okay.
Wow, that's great. So
great.
yeah, the diet changed, right? Definitely made a change to her life. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So there's somebody who got sculpt class and it's excellent. Nice. Good. So really the choices are going to be so individual. It doesn't matter whether it's diet, whether it's exercise. Everyone's needs are different because we're just unique.
Right.
There's no two of us on the planet. So whatever is your formula, you've got to work towards making that formula be aware of that formula and making that formula work for you. So it's not. It's about being so disciplined, and I really think your mindset makes the difference. So if you work first with your mindset and know that what you're doing, like I said earlier, I said you've got to go into kindness, caring, and willingness. I'm willing to do what's good for me. I am kind to myself, therefore I'm making this choice, and I'm caring for myself in doing all of this. If you start from that angle, it's amazing. You just stay with those emotions. It's amazing how your choices also change. And it's
so true.
It's an established therapy process. So to look at those emotions, and working using those emotions to let the emotions help you choose.
So true.
Yeah.
Just seeing if we have any more questions. Anybody? Oh, I saw something come. Do you see something there? I thought I saw someone.
Nothing more than trying.
No, okay. I thought an additional question came in. Someone mentioned about the alkaline diet, but there didn't expand on that.
So basically, there is a list of alkaline and acid foods. I do have a chart. I don't know if I can put it in here. I can send it on to you, Susan.
Okay.
There's an acid and alkaline. So there are.
Yeah, I think you gave me the alkaline. Yeah, if you could send it again.
I will.
Yeah, that's a tough diet. That's not an easy one. When you gave that to me, I was like, okay.
You know,
and I'm a healthy eater, but I still thought it was a tough one.
So the choice of meat doesn't exist in that diet. They allow for fish.
Right, that's what it was. There was no meat.
They allow for fish.
Oh, they do? Oh, okay.
They allow for fish, but they allow for some types of fish, not all types of fish.
Oh, really? Yeah. What about salmon? Because salmon is like a fatty fish, right?
Yeah.
So they allow salmon?
There are also some of the oils are not allowed. No, salmon is not on it.
Yes.
So some of the oils are also not allowed. So, the list is long, but the list is worth knowing. When you do the alkaline diet, it's not about, let me just throw everything out. I'm only going to do this. No, it's about weighing. You can do a little bit of the acid, but let it be bigger on the alkaline. So it's about changing, if I do a litmus test, I take a little bit of blood and I do a litmus test of the blood, it should not be an acid response, basically. Will it be a neutral response? It could be, because you've balanced it out. Would it be alkaline? Maybe not, but I'm happier with neutral than acid. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I understand. I'm
Yeah.
totally a proponent of alkaline diet. At one point I did, remove acid-related foods. And not only did I lose weight, and I wasn't even doing it for the weight, I was just doing it for, just my GI tract to feel better. And immediately I saw it. But then my doctor was saying, you'll see, you'll probably even lose weight too. I'm like, really? So that was like the added benefit. And I lost weight just by changing. And it was interesting that now when I eat some acid-related foods that I had taken away, I really taste the acid in the food where I didn't before, like with strawberries. I can't even eat a strawberry. It's just like, oh, there's so much acid in it now. So it's interesting when you walk away from those foods and you bring them back to your diet, you see the difference immediately. It's really very interesting. There was someone else in your chat, and again, I'm sorry, I can't read the chats. I'm not seeing the chat. She was saying something about protein. Oh yeah, I hear that if you remove a lot of carbs and protein with it, how can you help on this to make sure it is balanced?
There is some carbs. An alkaline diet doesn't take away all the carbs. It doesn't take away all the proteins. You've got nuts in it.
Right.
You have carbs. I mean, vegetables doesn't mean it's zero carbs. Vegetables have their own carb contribution. Nuts have their own carb contribution, right. But the proportions change. So the proportions are not as high in the alkaline diet. It's all there, but there are different proportions. Am I healthier with it? Yes, which tells me that yes, whatever I am getting with that is sufficient for me because my health is proof of the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So today, getting back to Cinco de Mayo. So today, if we want to make guacamole, I can make a very low fat, if you would say, guacamole, although avocado is high in fat, but then they say it's a good fat. Would an avocado be on an alkaline diet?
I think it belongs to the alkaline diet category.
Yeah.
It does. Yes.
Because I know when I eat it, my stomach likes it. It feels good. Yes. On that. And it was interesting. My doctor even said that to me about it's called, I'll share with everyone the name of the book. It's called Dropping Acid, and you can get it on Amazon, and it's an excellent book. It's a very quick read, and they give you a glossary of foods that are high in acid. But it was interesting, another point he made, and I did see that some of the foods I already was eating, and he said, you will see that your body is drawn to the foods that are not acidic, like foods that you're going to feel good when you eat them. And it was true. I saw there were some things, certain apples, they had Fiji apples. I'm like, that's interesting. I never understood why I bought Fiji apples. And I learned that was the lowest low acid apple. So it was interesting. I was, it was doing something that it was encouraging me to continue, buying these types of apples. So I thought that was interesting too, that your body will gravitate after a while towards the good things that should go into your body, in other words.
Yeah. There's a question here that says, what do you think about a career in health coaching? I think it's a great career. It's also about your ability to capture an audience. How big is an audience will make you that successful. You can be super successful. It is a great career because I think it's a service to humankind to help people understand how much better they can be just by making the right choices. And to really, just to summarize, it's about mindset. You put your mind to it and you know that you're coming from a place of caring for yourself. I'm doing this because I care. There is something to be said for self-love. Not a selfishness, but a self-love, which is about taking care of yourself because you know that only good will come from this. So you look at yourself from a caring angle, do things with kindness, do things with willingness to get better. You start with that, stay heart-centered, and choose your exercise accordingly, always low impact, because high impact exercises are damaging. Make sure that you stay on the alkaline diet, stay hydrated. I talked about how hydration, when you choose the amount of liquid you take, it needs to be a third of your body weight. So if you are 100 pounds, you would divide that by 3 and you would get 33, 34, whatever be the number. That would be the amount of water you need to drink in ounces. So that's how you choose how much of water. You know you've done it all. So 33 ounces of water if you weigh 100 pounds, and so on and so forth. Alkaline diet, low impact exercise, loving yourself, really. And just knowing that in that state of mind, you would not make wrong choices. You know, so actually, I do think that a career in health coaching is extremely, Caitlin, I think it's an extremely, extremely great choice. You need to be able to get the audience to make it a big success.
That's great. Just one other thing I wanted to ask you, Caroline. Now, I've been reading, and I think someone had sent me some foods to build our immune system. Because of the virus, they were saying if we have a certain diet or we eat certain foods, it could help us combat, or some kind of front line to prevent us from getting the virus.
Yeah.
Do you believe that's true as well?
There is, and the spelling is ALKALINE.
Okay, no. Mm-hmm.
That's the spelling of that.
My God. That's the word we're walking away with. That's great.
Yeah. Low impact exercise, alkaline diet, good hydration, and a self-love where you choose what is good for you because you care for yourself.
Mm.
You know, you make these choices and you cannot but be healthy. I mean, and your level of performance at all levels, it can be, you choose to sleep correctly, you choose to work differently, you choose to talk differently. At all levels, your performance changes.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I think we answered everyone's questions. I'm looking here. Do you see the other question about 64 ounces of water intake is no longer the requirement?
That's an established, that's like the general protocol, but it's not a one size fits all. So when they have done clinical studies and they've gone into the lab and they've checked cells under a microscope, they have found that to keep optimal hydration in a body that is not suffering from any disease. So if you have pain, then your need for water is different because you have an acid system going on. So your body then needs half of your body weight in ounces. So if you have an acid system, in order to decrease that acid system, you need to up your water. So then they equal out. It's equal to half of your body weight. But when you come back down into a more neutral and alkaline environment, then you decrease your water and you only bring it down to a third of your body weight. So the 64 ounces is a general map. But does it fit all? No, it's not. It is not a one size fits all. Would 64 ounces, this is just hypothetical, would 64 ounces hydrate a 400-pound man? Never. Would it be the choice for a 9-year-old child? Never. You choose as a proportion rather than a set volume. That would be the way you do it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, well, we hit the 2 o'clock mark. I believe we answered all questions. Thank you so much, Caroline. This was terrific. It gets us more centered. Gets me focused. I hope it got everybody else focused to think about exercising and eating right. But I love that, the third part of what you were saying is the self-love. Because we could beat ourselves up and then we get frustrated and then we end up not doing anything to help ourselves, and that's not good. So you need that component as well.
Absolutely.
So we appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us. I want to thank all the nurses this week. It's Nurses Week. So if anyone is a nurse or knows of a nurse like myself, my sister's a nurse, we celebrate a wonderful, not profession, I believe it's a vocation of this week, and especially during this pandemic, we can't thank the nurses enough, as well as our first responders and frontline workers. And also, happy Mother's Day to you, early Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to any of our parents. Thank you. Thank you so much. So thank you, everyone, and I hope next week you'll join us again, where every Tuesday at 1 o'clock, we'll have Professor Christopher Bazinet. No, I'm sorry, I'm jumping myself. We're going to have Professor April Miranda, and she's going to talk about travel and post-pandemic. And she has actually some good news for us. That's what she said. I said, you sure you have any good news for us to talk about? But she said, no, I really do. I have some good news to share with everyone. So it'll be interesting to see what she has to say. So I hope all of you join us for that as well. But thank you. Peace, right? Peace and goodwill.